Yeah, as you said, Senator Menendez appearing in federal court later today.
Or early this morning, who knows at this point. Fordham Law School professor Cheryl Bader joins us now to discuss what to expect. She teaches criminal law and was a former federal prosecutor in the District of New Jersey. Good morning. Good to have you with us here this morning. Cheryl, how are you?
Good morning. It's good to be here.
Okay, so first and foremost, what's going to happen this morning? And secondly, I know we like to ask this question constantly. Will the senator be fingerprinted? Is he going to have to sit for a mugshot as he appears before the judge?
So what's going to happen today is what's called an arraignment. It's just the beginning of the process. That's the first judicial appearance. And so he will be able to surrender on his own. So he has the luxury of, what we call sort of, white collar criminal treatment, which of course, people who are accused of what we call street crimes are not afforded that same dignity. But he will be processed by federal marshals, and so that does involve fingerprinting and mugshots. That's very typical. We saw this very ultra kid glove treatment that Trump was afforded, where his picture was not taken except for in Georgia. But it is typical that fingerprinting and a mugshot is taken. So I'm sure that's what will happen.
And Cheryl, what are the most serious charges, if you can walk them through them, what Senator Menendez faces in this indictment, and then if convicted, what penalties he could face?
Right. So they're all serious charges. They're all felony charges. They all involve corruption at the highest level. They all involve a possible penalty of jail time. In fact, potentially up to 20 years, but that's the maximum. There's 3 conspiracy charges here, but what they all come down to is really sort of bribery, extortion, and depriving the public of the honest services of a senator. And so we have several co-defendants who were New Jersey wealthy businessmen who were accused of bribing the senator and his wife in order to get political favors. And so the bribes involved multiple cash payments. A tremendous amount of cash was found in the senator's home, gold bars. There's evidence of no-show jobs, of luxury items, a Mercedes-Benz. So there's, just a wealth of evidence about this bribery, and it involved, various favors that Menendez was doing for these businessmen, including, for instance, that he serves on the very powerful Foreign Relations Committee. And so some of the charges involved him actually benefiting the country of Egypt so that he would approve military aid and weapons being sent to Egypt, even though there was concern about human rights violations there, and those were being stalled. And so he smoothed that over because of his position. Also, there are charges that have to do with him providing information that's not public information about who staffs the embassy in Egypt. And there are also charges relating to other co-defendants about bribing him to interfere with investigations, criminal investigations, fraud investigations against them.
All right, but let me stop you there, because obviously what you're showing us there is a laundry list of things that prosecutors have found. And I just want to, it speaks to this. On Monday, Senator Menendez read a statement that said in part, quote, "Remember, prosecutors get it wrong sometimes." As a former federal prosecutor, can you speak to just how thoroughly, especially in this time right now where you've seen a former president who's been indicted on a number of charges, just how buttoned up the prosecution would have to have their case before charging a U.S. senator or a former president?
Great. So I have to say that, I tell my students that, prosecutors are not infallible. Sometimes they are overzealous, and we have to sort of look critically at any situation. But I have to say here that we have a very carefully crafted indictment that is chock full of evidence, and that I think, especially now, as you say, in this political climate, but even before, when the Justice Department brings this kind of case against a senior official, a sitting senior U.S. senator, they are going to have their ducks in a row. We see, that there was, searches, there are, encrypted messages text messages that this couple thought were being deleted that remained. So there's really quite a bit of evidence. And I'd be surprised if the prosecutor doesn't also have some sort of gems in his own pocket in terms of, other witnesses and other evidence that isn't even included in this indictment, which is a very comprehensive, stunning indictment.
They always have something more, and it's something like this. It just said whether you're a Republican, whether you're a Democrat, whether it's one of your, one of the people in your district, your representative, you've got to read the indictment. That's the one, I guess, bit of advice I would impart on every. Read these indictments, whether it's against a former president, whether it's against a current U.S. Senator, whomever. See the work that's been done and what they've got. It's incredible.
And Professor, you mentioned already FBI agents, among other things, found thousands of dollars in cash. He claims that money came from his personal accounts. The question a lot of people are asking, wouldn't investigators be able to trace back his withdrawals? Wouldn't that be fairly easy to do?
Right. So I think, it's clear to me in looking at the indictment that they're going to be able to trace the evidence to these particular co-defendants, right? We have, in fact, even fingerprint and DNA evidence on these envelopes and cash itself that were stuffed into pocket straws. I mean, we're talking about, hundreds of thousands of dollars. We're not just talking about, money stuffed under a mattress, for that rainy day. This is just an incredible amount. These gold bars, they have particularly unique markings that are traced to these co-defendants. And so, and also text messages that make this nexus, quite clear. In fact, at times, the senator's wife was, complaining in these text messages that the payments weren't coming quick enough.
Let me ask you this. This is not the first time that Senator Menendez has been in hot water. Go back to 2015 when there was a hung jury. So he actually got out of that jam that he was in. But now you've got so many of his political allies, Cory Booker, Governor Murphy, who are saying, step down. Last time, Cory Booker was a character witness for him in 2015, but now he is emphatically saying, step down. I know you're innocent until proven guilty, but just the serious nature of these allegations. How bad do things look for Senator Menendez right now?
Right. So absolutely, any criminal defendant is innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. But I think the fact that, other politicians are willing to come forward and ask for his resignation, is a sign of, how powerful and compelling this evidence is against him. And, without giving sort of a lost, class lesson on bribery and public corruption, right? We see that the court has limited the definition of bribery, and the prosecution does have a heavy burden to show this wasn't just a matter of sort of a friend giving gifts, which was, what was alleged in the earlier case, where there was a hung jury. But the prosecutor has to show this very particular, what's called a quid pro quo or nexus, right, between the money that was given and, actually getting some political favor. But I think in this case, they can establish that nexus.
Well, we will certainly be watching this all unfold this morning. Thank you so much for your insights, Fordham Law Professor Cheryl Bader. Really appreciate having you here. And stay with CBS New York for continuing coverage of this story.